Below me, I have all 27 Pixar films to date, including obviously Elemental that came out this year. We're going to put them in a tier list today into 5 categories. We're going to put them in the GOAT category, the top dogs, the upper echelon, the top tier of Pixar films. Great, good, meh, which is average, whatever, and of course, bad, the lowest tier of Pixar. We're going to rank them all today. I'm sure my opinions will annoy some. I'm sure they'll be different. I'm sure they'll be similar to some as well. If you are new here, feel free to hit a subscribe button, hit a like. Let me know any other videos you want me to do at the minute. But without further ado, I have them all below me ready to go, so I won't take too much more of your time. The first one we have is Brave. I think Brave is okay. I also think Brave is quite annoying. I think that Brave offers something, I guess, different in the way that it showcases a sentiment towards Scottish culture and stuff like that, which is quite nice. But at the same time, it's a little bit dull, it's a little bit annoying, and it's going to go in the meh category. I would put it in the average sort of range for a Pixar film. Next we have is, and I can't see below me, so I'm picking these out at complete random. A Bug's Life. Okay. I think A Bug's Life is actually better than most people seem to. I think A Bug's Life is really, really good. I think it's creative. I think it's fun. I think it was in that Pixar period. I think the animation still kind of holds up today as well, which is surprising. I am going to go A Bug's Life in good. I'm not sure where it'll end up. Maybe the mid to low end of good, but I think good is where Pixar is where A Bug's Life needs to land. Cars 3. Okay. I did not grow up with the Cars films. I know there's many people that like them. Many of my followers love the Cars films. I am not one of those people. Cars 3 is okay. Cars 3 has some good elements. I don't think it's terrible. I think it has some good elements, but it's going to have to go in there. It's pretty mediocre. It's pretty forgetful, and it's pretty derivative of the first as well. So yeah, Cars 3, it's a no-go for me. Coco. Coco, I would argue to be not only one of the most interesting looks at culture and one of the most thought-provoking Pixar films in a way, and kind of the music is fantastic. It has one of the best villains in Pixar history with Ernesto de la Cruz. I'm going to go, I also think it's one of the best animated Pixar films, maybe the best ever, actually. I'm going to go for Coco in the great tier. I don't know where that'll stay. It might stay at the top, might stay at the bottom. Who knows? We're going to pull out Finding Dory. Did anybody else watch this once and completely forget that it actually fucking existed in general? Finding Dory. I don't know, man. I think Finding Dory is okay. I think it offers some good comedic elements with Dory, and I guess the premise is interesting enough. But I also feel like it really didn't need to be made, and what film does need to be made, but this one specifically just didn't have the long-lasting impact that many others, such as Finding Nemo, for example, has had. I also think Dory's humor, it's not aged very well. I remember watching Finding Nemo and thinking she was hilarious. Watching Finding Dory for the first time a few years ago, I just realizing that maybe time had passed with that one. So I'm going to put it in the meh tier. It's going to be the high end of meh because I think there's more good than bad, but not much more. And I can't really remember much of it as well. We're going to pull out. Let's see what we get. Cars. Okay. Like I said earlier, I think I'm not huge on Cars like a lot of people, but I do think the first Cars is pretty good. It lands the comedy. I think the voice acting is some of the strongest in Pixar as well. It's not particularly a premise I'm majorly interested in. I do find it a little bit bland at points, but I think it'd be the low end of good for me. Inside Out. Okay. Inside Out is probably one of the most beloved Pixar films of the last few years. I am actually a little bit indifferent on it myself. I think Inside Out is good. I think it offers a look at, like when you're growing up and moving into different locations, surviving new surroundings, surviving different, understanding different emotions, understanding anxiety, understanding sadness, understanding whatever you have, nervousness, whatever emotions you have. I think it caters to that really well. But I also think it's revolutionary. I think we've seen many other things like it before. I think it's beautifully animated. I do think it's sad. I think the voice acting is very, very strong. But it didn't really pull me in like many. It's going to go in good. It's going to be just above Cars because it is a good Pixar film, but not quite near the top echelon for me. Finding Nemo. Okay. Finding Nemo is very, very good. Finding Nemo is very, very good. Finding Nemo was actually the first film I ever watched in a cinema, and I got scared to death of Darla because of her braces. I don't know why. But Finding Nemo is very, very good. Finding Nemo is quotable. It's relatable. It showcases real life issues in a way, and showcases issues, the environment and stuff like that as well, which I think is great. I don't, like I said earlier, I don't know if the comedy's quite stood the test of time, but I think it's a very, very good film. I would put it like this might be the number one in the good section. Finding Nemo might be the number one in the good section, or around there anyway. Cars 2. Cars 2, this might annoy some people. I think Cars 2 is considerably the worst Pixar film ever made, in my opinion. I think it's nonsensical. I think it's bloated. I think a lot of it doesn't make sense. I admire the ambition in a way, because the way they took this narrative was wild for a start, but it felt like it had been written by an 8-year-old, and I guess that is not a very good thing. But I guess I admire its ambition. I admire what it tried to take the Cars franchise, but they then in Cars 3 they realised, let's not do that anymore, and let's bring it back down to the basics. I'm going to have to put it in bad. Cars 2, bad. Monster University. Okay, this is interesting. I think Monster University is actually one of the most underrated or underappreciated Pixar films. I think Monster University is great. It's creative, offers a backstory for our beloved characters, Randall, Sully, and Mike. It showcases, again, adjusting to new environments, issues with friendships, isolation. I think it teaches a good lesson. I think it's what I love most about the Monsters Inc. films. We'll go on to this shortly when, obviously, the Monsters Inc., the better one, comes up. Is just how creative they are, and how you can go around every corner and see a new weird being, similar to like a Dungeons and Dragons of this year, high fantasy, weird. I'm not saying this is high fantasy, but it's weird, it's delightful, and it's charming. And Monster University is going to be probably around here for me. So the higher end of good, just below Finding Nemo, and in the middle of Bugs Life and Finding Nemo. Luca. I am a lot higher on Luca than most people, I would say. Luca, for me, it's a Pixar that doesn't need to do much. It's simple, and that's what's beautiful about it. There's stuff about this stuff about class, this stuff about friendship. It's just a brilliant tale of friendship, and the ending never fails to make me cry with its optimism and heavy good feeling. There's stuff about acceptance as well. The animation is gorgeous, the setting is incredible, and it's just a simple watch. I believe it's about 70 minutes long. It's a very short Pixar as well. But I my first watch, I replayed that ending over and over again. Luca is actually going to go in the great tier for me, and it's going to be higher than Coco as of right now anyway. We need to get some better ones, though, some higher tiers. So we get next. Okay. Ratatouille for me is the crowning glory of Pixar, a story on striving towards your goals with a beautiful Paris landscape, charming characters, comedy that stands the test of time so well. Ratatouille is still hilarious to this day, and it still is one of the best looking Pixar films. It's such a tale of friendship, a tale of artistry, of following your dreams, and Ratatouille will always belong to me as my number one Pixar film. Let's see what we get next. Okay, going from one end of Pixar to the next, we've got The Good Dinosaur. Now, The Good Dinosaur, I don't think is terrible by any means. I think the animation's pretty cool. There are some certain elements that I thought were okay, but overall, man, it's boring. You wouldn't think a premise like this could be as tedious and as bland to get through as it was, but it surprised me also. I think Good Dinosaur is going to be the second in the bad tier. It's not quite Cars 2 level, and it's not horrendous, but it is bad. I just don't remember anything about it. It was so boring, such a surprise, and just a bland Pixar film. So we get next. Incredibles 2. Okay. Whilst I don't think Incredibles 2 is the strongest Pixar sequel, and it does lack a lot of the charm and the tight-knit superhero American family drama story as the first, I still think it's pretty good. It offers some good moments. There are some bigger set pieces, bigger action sequences. The start is really, really good as well, but I do think it falls off around the middle and last act. But I think it's a good film. I think Incredibles 2 is good. I would put it probably just below Inside Out. I think it's better than Mare. It's a good film. It's a good film. So we go next. Turning Red. Okay, Turning Red is seeming to be a love or hate within Pixar's filmography. I think Turning Red is good. I think it offers a perspective into growing up as a woman. Not that I would know anything about that, but I think it's an important film in Pixar's catalogue. I think it showcases the struggles of being a young woman. It does so in a creative, yes, obvious and over the top and on the nose way, but it's also that's what Pixar needs to be. It's creative. It's for kids. It's something we can learn from. It's beautifully animated. It's fun. It's charming. Do I think everything is perfect? No, but I think Turning Red is good, and I actually would have it probably above Incredibles 2 around this good tier. I really, really would. Soul is next. Okay, Soul, first of all, great music. It makes me cry. It's a good look at cultures and music and artistry. Again, similar to Ratatouille with the themes on show. Soul, this is a good or a great for me, and I actually might go the highest end of good. Oh, it's a difficult one. It's a very, very difficult one. I'm actually going to go great. I think Soul deserves to be in the great category. Maybe not the top end of great, but I think it deserves to be there. We have Onward next. I can see this little thing in the corner of my eye. Onward. Onward's cool, man. Good elements. I actually like the premise in this one a lot. I think the voice acting is really, really strong, which is, you can't say for all Pixar films. Onward, do I think it's kind of tedious at points? Yes. Man, this is tricky. I probably would go in the... Honestly, I'll probably go in the meh tier. It has such strong elements, and I think it's decent, but I wouldn't quite go as far as to say that Onward is good. Which, as sad as it is, I just don't think it's there. I think it misses something. I think it is quite derivative. I'm going to put it in meh. But I think we should probably say meh to decent, because these are all okay. Maybe Cars 3 and Brave, okay. But this is just like a category. It's like, I didn't hate my time, but I'm going to forget about it tomorrow. You know what I mean? That's kind of the way I'm working. Let's see what we get next. Toy Story 2. Okay, the lesser spoken about Toy Story film, I would argue, in Toy Story 2 is fantastic. I truly, truly believe that. Toy Story 2 has some of the best villains with Stinky Pete as well. Again, a showcase on betrayal, on friendship, on connection. It's fun. It's exciting. I don't think it's the best Toy Story film, but I think the first three are very, very close together. And Toy Story 2 is going to have to go in great. It's going to have to go in great. I would have it above Soul. I would have it above Coco. I think Toy Story 2 slots right nicely into that. Let's see what we get next. Incredibles. Okay. I think Incredibles is the highest tier of Pixar. The quintessential American superhero drama showcasing real characters with real issues. It's exciting. It's fun. The voice acting in this is arguably the best in Pixar's catalog altogether. And I think it's just the quintessential superhero film, one of the greatest superhero films ever made, in my opinion. I look at corporate life, look at business, look at consumerism. Powerful, fun, exciting, and it never gets tired. And also the animation has aged incredibly well. I do believe Pixar to be that highest tier. Let's see what we get next. Toy Story 4. Toy Story 4 is good. Toy Story 4 is good. I think Toy Story 4 is good. Do I think it was amazing? No. Do I think it was as bad as many are making out? No, not at all. I think Toy Story 4 is a good, solid film. It has elements of raw emotion. It has good character work. It introduces some new exciting characters as well. I don't think it's great. And did it need to be made? Maybe not. Maybe keep it as a successful trilogy as it was. But what film needs to be made? It was still a good film. I think it gets far too much hate. So it is going to go in the good category just above Turning Red, I believe. See what we get next. Let's see what we get next. Monsters, Inc. You know what, guys? I'm putting Onward in the good category. I'm putting Onward at the bottom of good. I'm putting Onward above Cars. But I'm gonna put Onward in the bottom of good. Monsters, Inc. Though, here we have some talking points about Monsters, Inc. We're gonna talk a lot about Monsters, Inc. Monsters, Inc. is another one for me that is the highest tier of Pixar's catalog. So creative, so fun. So energetic. I look at capitalist structures as well, which is really interesting. Randall, Mr. Waternoose, incredible villains. Sully and Mike, just lovable, likable characters that both go down as some of my favourite characters of all time, regardless of Pixar and animation or not. I think Monsters, Inc. is really up there as the highest tier of Pixar's filmography. I really, really do. I think Monsters, Inc. is that highest tier. And I don't think Monsters University is that far behind. I really, really do. I think Monsters University is underrated. But of course, Monsters, Inc. is better. We have Toy Story next. Okay, the first Toy Story, I probably will argue the first Toy Story is the second best, in my opinion. So I'm going to put the first Toy Story in great. I think all Toy Stories belong to going great. But I'd put it here. I'd actually move Luca down one and put Toy Story 2 and Toy Story 1, the highest end of great. Toy Story 1 is fantastic, a good introduction, a great introduction into the characters, a great introduction into life, a great introduction into the meaning of again friendship with Woody and Buzz and all the unique characters we love to this day. And it really is just quintessential Pixar at this point, as all the Toy Story films are, and has to be in the some of the highest tiers. Let's see what we get next. WALL-E. Okay, WALL-E, in my opinion, is the most intelligent Pixar film. Environmental struggles. It's a big, science fiction epic. It's intimate. It's personal. It's gentle. WALL-E succeeds on so many ways. And the way he interacts using just noises and sounds, it's so intelligent. WALL-E has to go in the great tier. Where would I put it? I would probably put it around here, just above Toy Story 2. And just behind the first Toy Story. I'd probably put it there. I think that's a really, really good spot for WALL-E. It's definitely one of the best. Okay, so you may have seen that. Lightyear is next. I'm just picking them out at random now. Lightyear is one of the ones from this year. I actually don't think Lightyear was very good at all. I think last year, Lightyear had a premise that could have been used so well, and I think the potential was really there with Lightyear. Did it succeed? No, it just came across as derivative, as boring. It lacked cohesion, it lacked flair, it lacked heart, in my opinion. There were good elements. The animation style was really, really great, and I really liked the voice acting as well. But at the same time, it just didn't have the impact on me that I wanted, knowing and loving, what I thought I would love, especially as an animated film, growing up with Buzz, etc. I'm going to have to put Lightyear in the bottom end of meh. I don't think it's terrible. I'd have it just above Cars 3. I don't think it's terrible. I think there are good elements, but I think it's a perfectly average film, and a very forgettable one at that. Elemental from this year, the most recent Pixar release. Okay, Elemental, I think, is fine. I think Elemental, as it's very on the nose with its social commentary. It's very obvious what it's trying to portray. And so is Turning Red, for example, as I mentioned earlier, but I don't think it's quite as successful with it. Animation's cool. The advances in animation have just been tenfold. It's incredible the way the world works now with animation. It's so incredible how it looks, and there are some funny moments in this. Some of the humor did actually really land for me, but I think Elemental is just going to go in the meh category. It's quite forgettable, but it is going to be the highest end of meh. It's decent. I don't think it's bad. Toy Story 3. Okay. I think right now, and the 1, 2, and 3 can switch back and forth for me. I think Toy Story 3 is the best Toy Story film to date. So impactful, so emotionally provoking, so emotionally impactful. The character introduces so much more to the franchise in terms of human connection, in terms of obviously Lotso being one of the greatest villains and one of the most villains you can kind of sympathize with, but also hate, and that's how you know he's well written. And I think Toy Story 3 cemented its place as being one of the greatest animated films of this century so far, in my opinion, and one of the greatest Pixar films ever, and a fantastic end to what I hoped would be a trilogy. But, as I said before, Toy Story 4 is still good. And finally, last but not least, we have Up. Up's an interesting one. I think a lot of people do think about Up and they just think about the first 15 minutes, 20 minutes, but that is a big part of it. It offers that emotional suspense. It's an important message. It makes everyone cry. It has that ability to evoke emotions on a huge level. And I think it's cute. I think it's charming, but and I also think the villain was fantastic, but I do think it loses focus across the way and does end up being a little bit meh and a little bit tedious to get through after the hour mark, before the ending, which I did like, of course. But the first 15 minutes are that good. It deserves to go in the good tier for me. I would probably have it just above Inside Out. So that is my Pixar tier list. Let me know what you would do with yours. Don't forget to sub and like if you haven't already, and if you're feeling so kind. And other than that, I'll speak to you soon.